This is Where's My Husband by RAYE, recreated from scratch.
Your husband is coming.
Some asked a question. This one turns it into a full-blown theatrical performance. On the surface, Where's My Husband feels playful, almost tongue-in-cheek, but underneath all the weight, the big brass, and the infectious energy, there's someone tired of waiting, dreaming out loud, and turning hope into something you can't stop singing. That's what makes this record so addictive. Written and produced by RAYE alongside Mike Sabath, every section feels like it's raising the curtain, even though the production feels massive. It's built from remarkably simple foundations. Every instrument has a reason to exist, proving that great arrangements aren't about stacking hundreds of layers, they're about choosing the right ones. That's exactly what made me want to remake it. The record sits in B-flat major, 816 BPM, so let's get started. So let's start with the drums. I feel like the drums are kind of the foundation of the record in my opinion. Mike uses both live drums and some samples as well, so we'll try to achieve something similar. For the live drums, I'm using my go-to Editor drums, highly recommend. So for the drum kit, I have this kick, linked with this Ludwig Blue Oyster, just to get that click. This snare, hat, and a ride bell. For the processing, I don't think I did anything extreme. Slight distortion. Same thing for the snares. Then we have the overheads and the room input. And this is what we are playing as the main drums. Mike played the live drums himself on this track. Then we have this ride bell, which is kind of making the drums bouncy. And you know, there's this snare fill as well. Just bounce it to audio. And for the additional layers, I have this extra kick and these two snares. They are just helping the main live drums to get that thickness and punch. You can hear some cymbal crash as well. The song starts with the drum roll, and then we got these huge drum hits. I remember Mike mentioning that he used some stems from the live show of RAYE performing Where's My Husband, which is kind of interesting because the song itself is made for the live show. And for the drum roll, I have this sample and this tom roll that I made myself on MIDI. Then I also had this one. I'm using the drum stem from the live show as a feel, not as the main drums. My main drum is this kick with cymbal crash and the snare roll. This is the crowd from the show. I'm using it as a riser. Put it all together. It really gives that feeling that we are right there in the audience, everybody's cheering. I mean, what an amazing way to start a song. In the bridge section, we get some amazing bongos. And we are done with the drums. The drums have turned out pretty well, right? For the bass, this is what we have. I'm using both live bass and a clean 808. I've spent like a lot of time programming bass and all, so I've learned that when you're writing MIDI notes, you'll have to think of it as how an actual bassist would play it. The dynamics, tension, and imperfections, sticking to that humanness. That's what makes a great bass line. It's not just for the bass, it's for everything like laying piano chords, programming drums or guitars. A plugin for bass, just go for mono bass too. I'm barely doing anything here, just slightly tweaking the knobs, that's it. For the pre-chorus, the song starts to build up, and so the bass line. We also have a clean 808 supporting the low end. Now both drums and bass together. Sounds great. Now moving into the keys and pianos. We have a piano and an organ. For the organ, I'm using this B3. It was not this one though. Yeah, this one. The rotary speaker was giving that signature vintage sound. I also play with these advanced settings like changing different models and the main vibrato. This is the first layer. And I also layered this one playing an octave higher. A volume section at the end. These are the chords I'm playing. Then we also have two piano layers. This roomy pop piano. And this jazz style. I'm using it 2 keys, Studio Grand. And so far, we have this. Incredible. And for the horns, we have this. Starting with the trumpet, I have these 3 layers playing a different octave. I'm using Swamp Trumpet, the best in the game. They've created something insanely accurate modeling of physical instrument. You have all the controls, vibrato, growl, with inbuilt room stimulator. You want it left, right, and mic positioning as well. I'm playing the following notes. Then we have a second trumpet, playing the harmony. Both together. I'm also layering this bass trombone. It really gives that hugeness. Put it all together and you have yourself a whole brass section. And about this terrific riff in the bridge. Did you really think I'd let it go? This is the MIDI for the riff. And this is the grand outro. Mike mentioned he used the horns from the live show as well. So I'm just tucking this tight in the mix, just to give that live feel. And lastly, we get this, which is just all the horns merged together. So far, we have this. The intro. The bridge. And finally, these beautiful strings. We'll be using violin, viola, and cello, and some MIDI strings as well to achieve this. This is the main melody in the chorus that we are playing. I have like a lot of layers for the strings, including violins, violas, and cellos. So what I'm doing, I'm playing with the vibrato, bow pressure, and sometimes I'm choosing different violin model. So every layer is different in some ways. To get some wideness, sometimes I like to place them in different positions in the room, while also playing with the mic position. The viola is playing the same thing, just an octave lower. Along with some harmony. Finally, we add the cello, playing a sustained note. In the pre-chorus, we have these two violin. They are playing with tremolo. It's simple. And now with the tremolo. I also added this viola section, which is like 4 or 5 players playing at the same time with subtle dynamics. And finally, we have the cello. So we have the 2 layers of cello. One of is playing the ascending notes and the other one is playing the descending notes. And for the MIDI strings, this is what we have. I think I used the pocket strings for this. Now all the strings together. Let's hear the premix. Let's quickly mix and fine tune everything. Starting with the live drums, I'm adding a C6, just balancing things. The right bell was kind of getting lost, so I just added some extra high end. For the sample kick and snares, I have this Fairchild 670, which is, I believe, is modeled after the Fairchild 670 Mu compressor, just getting around 3 to 5 dB of compression. And my final drum bus got this 69 channel strap. I'm also sending it through this decapitator for some extra grit and saturation. Let me quickly walk you through all of my sends. I have this long reverb and this room reverb, followed by this tape delay on swell mode, and lastly I have this transform B, which is for the bass. I have this Saturn 2 for saturation, compression, and this for the telephonic texture. For the basses, starting with this EQ, just for the tonal control. A BX sub filter for that extra bottom end punch. A Saturn 2 for the gentle saturation. You know, I like to make 2 separate bands to process them differently. I want some extra presence in the high end, that's why. And finally, a multi-band compressor. This band is acting as a sidechain triggered by the drums. So whenever the kick hits, the bass ducks down a bit. It's also going through this bass parallel send. For the pianos and organ, I have this Lindell 80 bus, which is giving that new style saturation. EQ to polish the mids and highs. And this 1176. This brass section is kind of weak, right? How about now? Starting with this EQ, slight EQ moves, and this sound goodizer. It looks so simple, but it makes things amazing. Then we add some saturation with this decapitator. This S1 imager just to make it slightly wider. And for the strings, starting with this violin, I have this SSL EV2, adding some mic input, compression, extra highs and mids, and removing the boxiness. For the viola, just getting some clarity. And for the final strings, I have this EQ creamy strings preset. And this fresh air. It beautifully adds that mid and high-end presence. And now both the drums and bass are going through this SSL compressor. All the other instruments are going through this one. I also have this shaper box as a volume sidechain. This part. And finally, my mix bus has this mastering EQ, this PSP vintage warmer too, and a final mastering compression. I'm also running it through this parallel send with this compression and this ozone imager. Here's the final mix. And after a quick mastering, I present to you, Where's My Husband?
Your husband is coming.
So yeah, that was my remake of Where's My Husband. There's a lot more coming and trust me, it's only getting better from here. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more remakes and production breakdowns like this. And seriously, comment this next song you wanna see me break down from scratch. Huge thanks to my Patreon members too. This support genuinely helps me spend way too much hours obsessing over tiny production details like this. If you wanna explore the full session, stems, sounds and breakdowns, everything's already up on the Patreon. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay creative.